Hi everybody, just a quick video today. Um, just want to say welcome from hot Phoenix, Arizona. It is hot here. Oh my God, it's crazy. Why do I live here? I do this every summer. I ask myself why I live here. It's no good. Anyway, so I was working the Soul Search Expo, which is, they have it in Scottsdale, Arizona. Every 3 months or so. And it's an expo for psychics and healers, mediums, people who sell crystals and all sorts of fun things. So it was fun, and I did it, and I'm glad I did it. I decided to do it at the last minute. Anyway, so there was this guy standing in front of me at the expo, and he started talking. So we're standing, you know, there's a table, a booth table here. We're standing, and oh, that's Peanut. He keeps, you know, he's asking questions. He kind of has a funny voice, and it looked like he had a hearing aid, and his other ear was taped up kind of oddly. And so I asked him if he was deaf, and he said yes. He had a profound hearing loss. And I said, oh, my mother was deaf, and I said I grew up around a lot of deaf people. And then I said, well, but I don't know sign language because my parents never taught us sign language, which is really weird. Doesn't make any sense, but hey, I wasn't the parent, I was the kid. And anyway, so we were talking, and he wanted to get a reading, but he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to hear properly because of all the background noise, and it's harder to hear with all the background noise. And so we talked for about 20 minutes or so, and I said, why don't you just come have a seat? And because it's easier to talk actually sitting across from each other. So he sat down and we were talking, and at some point he decided he did want an Akashic record reading. And I said, well, it's supposed to be 20 minutes, so let's get down to it. What do you want to know? What questions do you have? And he said, I want to know, in my work and relationships, there's always this difficulty as far as this boundary around communication. And of course that makes sense. And he said, but how can I get beyond that? And I said, okay, so we're gonna look at that. And what's interesting is, as I'm going into the Akashic records, my mom comes in. Now she's come in for readings sometimes and helps with messages. My brother comes in sometimes. My sister comes in sometimes. You never know who's gonna show up. But my mom showed up. And what she showed me, and she was profoundly deaf in her lifetime. She lost her hearing around 3, so she could communicate quite well for a deaf person because she did learn speaking skills and could hear for that short period of time, 1 to 3, before she lost her hearing. So she had developed some speech. So it wasn't too difficult to understand her, but communication was always difficult. And so what I saw, she was showing me was she was she was moving her arm a lot, like, hey, 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 trying to get some attention. Now, I grew up around a lot of deaf people. This is what deaf people do. They go, because they can't hear, so they wave their hands a lot. They tap you on your shoulder a lot, like, I'm trying to speak to you, please pay attention and look at me. So that's what I saw her doing, like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm trying to get your attention. And the message that was coming across was about really getting into somebody's face. And I'm not saying that quite right, because that's not what she was communicating. To not stop and really get in there and communicate in any way that you can, and kind of make them understand you, or try a lot harder to go beyond that barrier so that that difficulty in communication is crossed. So a lot of effort has to be made on his part to actually try to communicate. And then I saw this girl, Christy, that we grew up with, another deaf family that they all went to the deaf church. We knew that family. She was deaf, but she was one of those people who, those deaf, you know, everyone has different personalities. She was so in your face. Like if she wanted to talk to you and make you understand, she'd be like just, I'm in your face and you're going to talk to me and I really want you to try and understand me, and vice versa. And which was kind of funny that Christy came up. She's still alive. Anyway, so this is what my mom was showing me, that this guy needs to try a lot harder to communicate, to move beyond that barrier. And that was part of his plan coming into this lifetime, was for some reason, to bridge that difficulty, and that it's his job to try extra hard. And what's funny too is my mom didn't have that kind of personality, and she did not do that. So the message was very different from how she lived her life. She didn't try that hard. She was very active in the deaf community and talked a lot. But when it came to her crossing that bridge to hearing people, she really held back, even with her own children. So communication was really difficult. So in the middle of this reading, I was also seeing my mother in a different way than I had, and it made me feel much more love and compassion for her, because we definitely had a strained relationship, because I was not good at following the rules and being a good Mormon, and she really had a hard time with that, but she didn't know how to communicate and was not good at it. And so that got dropped, so anyway, it was just it was interesting communicating with this man, giving him that message that was coming from my mother. I also saw him in a past life as a Catholic priest, a really well-known, very successful Catholic priest, and I can't remember what the purpose was in that or why that came up. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because it was interesting, because you never know who's going to come through. Even in an Akashic record reading, that my mother came through to talk also, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, I just wanted to share that because I learned some stuff about my mother and saw her in a different light, and was also able to help this man who was deaf. Yeah, and I do have to say, it was difficult communicating with him, understanding him, and then him understanding me. That was there. And so it reminded me of my past too, growing up with my mom and other deaf people. Anyway, that's my little story today. I hope you enjoyed this story. Have a good day. Stay cool. We're trying to here in Phoenix. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.